The first day of freshman year, two pop-ups materialized in front of me and my childhood friend, Leo Vance. He was faster, snatching the easy mode system for winning over the campus queen, leaving me with the hell mode one for the dining hall lady. Leo spent his days orbiting the queen, basking in the glory of being her top admirer, while I scrubbed pots and prepped vegetables in the kitchen, a thankless ghost. He'd mock me, "Ethan, have fun spending the rest of your life with greasy old ladies." 3 months later, after blowing his family fortune on the campus, Queen only to find out he was just one of many guys in her orbit, Leo had a psychotic break. He ran me off a mountain road. I opened my eyes again, back at the exact moment the systems appeared. This time, Leo's eyes were wild as he lunged for the system to win over the dining hall lady. The suffocating feeling of icy water filling my lungs hadn't even faded when the familiar drone of the freshman convocation speech filled my ears. My eyes snapped open. The old university auditorium, the harsh fluorescent lights, and the figure next to me, so familiar, yet so alien, Leo Vance. He was alive, and so was I. I was back. First day of freshman year. The moment the systems arrived, almost instantly, two holographic interfaces, visible only to us, flickered into existence. One was a brilliant gold, displaying the words, "Campus Queen Conquest System, Easy Mode." The other was a dull, glitchy gray, Dining Hall Lady Conquest System, Hell Mode. Last time, Leo had grabbed the golden system without a second thought, shoving the gray one at me with a look of pure contempt and pity. But now his eyes were bloodshot, his breathing ragged. He stared at the gray interface like a starving animal. Before I could react, he lunged, wrapping his arms around the Dining Hall Lady Conquest System as if it were the Holy Grail. He moved so violently he knocked over his chair with a loud bang. Students around us turned to look. The dean of students on stage shot him a disapproving frown. Leo didn't care. He clutched the gray interface, his face ecstatic, muttering, "Mine, it's mine. It's finally mine this time." The golden Campus Queen Conquest system floated forlornly in front of me, its light seeming to dim as if insulted by the rejection. I watched Leo's manic display, a cold certainty washing over me. He was back, too. The golden system seemed to lose patience and shot directly into my forehead. A cold, mechanical voice echoed in my mind. Campus Queen Conquest System successfully bonded. Host, Ethan Reed. Main quest. Win the affection of Crestwood University's Queen, Isabel Croft. Achieve 100% affinity to receive the final reward. New subquest. Get Isabel Croft's phone number. Reward. 1 charm point, $10,000 starter capital. I processed the information, my face a blank mask. Last time, Leo had used that exact $10,000 to rent a professional sound system for the freshman welcome concert, staging a huge public confession to Isabel and instantly becoming a campus celebrity. My first task? I was sent to the kitchen to help with dinner prep. My reward was +1 proficiency in chopping onions. Leo turned to me, seeing I had bonded with the Campus Queen system. There was no jealousy in his eyes, only pity and a deep, mocking scorn. "Just accept your fate, Ethan," he said, clapping me on the shoulder with feigned wisdom. "Some things just aren't meant for you. You can't force it." He thought I didn't know the truth about the dining hall lady system. He thought he'd stolen the ultimate prize, and he was sure I would end up just like he did, broke, humiliated, and a laughingstock, all for a girl who wouldn't give him time of day. I looked at his triumphant smirk and simply nodded. "You're right. I certainly couldn't force it." The unhinged hatred in his eyes as he drove me off that cliff after Isabel had bankrupted him and shattered his sanity. That wasn't something I could ever force. The moment convocation ended, Leo bolted for the dining hall, his every move screaming urgency, as if his billion-dollar fortune would vanish if he were a second late. My new roommate, Chris, nudged me. "Dude, aren't you and Leo best friends since you were kids? What's with him today? He's acting totally weird." "Maybe he's just passionate about contributing to campus culinary services," I deadpanned. Chris snorted with laughter. I pulled out my phone and opened up the university's unofficial subreddit, r/CrestwoodU. The top post was a candid shot of Isabel Croft on move-in day. Long hair, white sundress, an effortlessly cool vibe. You could see why she'd been voted campus queen 3 years running. The comment section was a mess of people thirsting for her number. Last time, Leo had used a conversation starter skill from the system to successfully get her digits that very night. Now I just stared at the Get Isabel Croft's phone number quest on my system panel and did nothing. My phone buzzed. A friend request on Instagram. The profile picture was the same one from the subreddit post. The request message had just 2 words. Ethan Reed. It was Isabel. I hadn't even looked for her, and she'd found me. Before I could accept, a second message popped up. I'm Isabel Croft. Have we met somewhere before? A classic, tired opening line. As I was thinking of how to reply, the system in my head shrieked. Warning, warning. Target is approaching proactively. System mode adjustment imminent. Mode adjustment failed. Unknown error. Unknown error. I frowned slightly. Just then my phone rang. It was Leo, his voice buzzing with a frantic, suppressed excitement. Ethan, you won't believe it, I met Brenda. She even smiled at me. I'm telling you, this is the real treasure. That campus queen system of yours is just worthless, flashy garbage. I gave him a non-committal and hung up. At the same time, I accepted Isabel's follow request. I typed back a single line. The university auditorium. Freshman convocation. You were in the front row? I was in the 10th. Does that count as meeting? After I sent the message, Isabel went silent for a long time. A full 10 minutes later, she replied with a single smiley face emoji. You're funny, freshman. Immediately, the system pinged. Subquest complete. Rewards distributed. A deposit of $10,000 has been made to the host's bank account. Charm +1. I felt a warm current pass through me. Looking in a reflection, my jawline seemed a little sharper, my eyes a fraction more intense. But I knew better. These physical boosts were just the sugar coating on the poison pill. This was exactly how Leo had been drawn in last time. Every completed task brought money and a boost to his ego, creating the illusion that he could control everything. He thought he was winning Isabel over, but in reality, the system and Isabel were working together to conquer his bank account and his dignity. Just then, another message from Isabel arrived. Hey, are you free for the welcome concert tonight? I happen to have 2 front row tickets. There it was. The exact same move as last time. This was how she cast her net, filtering for the suitors willing to spend time and money on her. Last time, Leo was ecstatic when he got this message. He immediately dropped 50 grand to book all the romantic dedication slots during the concert, planning a massive surprise for her. His reward, Isabel gave him a bland thanks and handed the other ticket to the student government president. Leo became the joke of the entire campus. I looked at my phone screen, my fingers tapping out a reply. Sorry, I'm busy tonight. The instant I sent the message, the system's alarm blared in my head again. Warning. Host has rejected the target's invitation. Affinity-5. Current affinity. -5. Penalty quest generated. Within 1 hour, report to the dining hall kitchen and wash 3,000 dishes. Penalty for failure. Charm-2. I had to laugh. Last time, my very first mission after bonding with my system was to help out in the dining hall, and the reward was increased rapport with the staff. Now, it was my punishment. On the other end, Isabel was clearly not expecting a rejection. She sent a single question mark. Busy. You don't seem like the type to join clubs. Got plans with friends? Her words were laced with a subtle sense of superiority, an assumption that her invitation was a privilege that I couldn't refuse. I didn't reply. I just put my phone away and headed for the dining hall. Time to wash some dishes. Besides, I was curious to see how the reborn Leo was planning to conquer his so-called treasure. The dining hall kitchen was a chaotic mix of greasy fumes and the sour smell of old food. It was disgusting. When I got there, Leo was in an ill-fitting kitchen uniform, clumsily chopping vegetables alongside a group of middle-aged women. He wasn't chopping vegetables. He was chopping his way to a fortune. His face was glowing with a bizarre, unsettling happiness. He paused when he saw me, then a knowing, cynical smirk spread across his face. What's wrong? First day, and your campus goddess already shot you down. Came running to me for comfort? He pointed to a mountain of dirty dishes. Perfect timing. Do me a favor. The system told me to build a good relationship with Brenda, not to do her manual labor for her. In his mind, winning over Brenda meant chatting her up, giving her gifts and flattering her. Washing dishes and chopping vegetables were for low-level NPCs. I ignored him, walked straight to the industrial sinks, and rolled on my sleeves. A woman in a gray uniform with streaks of gray in her hair, but remarkably bright eyes walked over. This was Leo's Brenda. Last time, I spent 3 months washing dishes here and got to know her well. Her name was Brenda Sutton. Everyone thought she was just a regular dining hall worker. No one knew she was the founder of Polaris Hospitality, one of the nation's top culinary conglomerates, with a net worth in the billions. Working at Crestwood's Dining Hall was just her way of experiencing retirement while personally inspecting her company's campus food service division. Her only son wasn't some spoiled trust fund kid, but an MIT graduate and the ruthless head of Polaris's entire investment arm. I only learned all of this from the news after Leo killed me. And it was the reason the reborn Leo was so desperate to get his hands on this system. "You new, kid?" Brenda asked, handing me a pair of rubber gloves. Her voice was warm. "Yeah. Hi, Brenda. I'm Ethan," I said, taking them naturally, as if I'd done it 1,000 times. Brenda smiled. "You look like you know what you're doing." I started washing, my movements fluid and efficient. The penalty quest gave me 1 hour, 3,000 dishes. That averaged out to more than 1 dish per second. It was a nearly impossible task for a normal person. But for me, it was easy, because last time I washed these same 3,000 dishes every day for 3 months straight. Seeing me actually start the work, Leo laughed even harder. "Ethan, you're unbelievable. You chase a girl so hard you end up doing scut work in a kitchen. Is your system really that messed up?" As he spoke, he sidled up to Brenda, presenting a fancy gift box like a prize. "Brenda, I heard from one of the other ladies that you have arthritis. I had a friend pick up this special heated knee brace from Germany. It's supposed to work wonders. Last time, this was his exact strategy with Isabel. Buying bags, cars, jewelry, thinking he could buy her affection." Brenda glanced at the elegantly wrapped box, and her smile faded slightly. "Leo, I appreciate the thought, but I can't accept something so expensive. We have a strict policy against taking gifts from students." The smile on Leo's face froze. "Brenda, it's nothing really, just a small token of my appreciation." "A rule is a rule," she said. Her tone was still gentle, but it carried an unshakable firmness. Leo's expression soured. Reborn and armed with what he thought was the ultimate cheat code, he'd stumbled on the very first step. He'd forgotten that a woman who had dominated the business world for decades could see right through his greedy, transparent little tricks. He reluctantly took back the box, shooting me a venomous glare as if to say, "This is your fault for being here." I didn't have time for him. I was focused on the dishes. The minutes ticked by. The mountain of dirty dishes in the sink shrank at a visible rate. The other kitchen staff stared in amazement. "Does this kid have a motor in his arms? He's faster than that busted old dishwasher we have." The color drained from Leo's face, leaving it a pasty, then greenish, then almost black shade of fury. He couldn't understand how I could wash dishes so fast, so expertly. Of course I was an expert. After all, somewhere in this pile of ceramic, there were probably still fragments of my heart from the last time around. An hour later, I finished the last dish right on time. My back was killing me. Penalty quest complete. Charm -2 penalty has been rescinded. Hidden quest triggered. The dignity of labor. By working diligently in the kitchen, the host has displayed the admirable quality of perseverance. Brenda Sutton's initial affinity +5. Current affinity 5. I froze. Wasn't I bonded to the campus queen conquest system? Why was I getting affinity points with Brenda? System error, data corruption, conquest target detection failure. Recalibrating. Recalibration failed. Warning. Host's actions have deviated from the main quest line. Please return to the objective of conquering Isabel Croft immediately. The system's warnings were frantic and garbled. I ignored them. Brenda handed me a bottle of water and a clean towel, her eyes filled with genuine appreciation. "Ethan, thank you. That was a huge help. Take a break." "Thanks, Brenda," I said, taking the water. Leo watched from the side, his eyes turning red with envy. He had showered her with gifts and compliments, and her attitude toward him remained lukewarm at best. I just washed some dishes without saying a word, and she was already looking at me differently. He couldn't understand it, and he couldn't accept it. Brenda, don't let him fool you. Leo suddenly shouted, pointing at me. He's a player who messes with people's feelings. He's only getting close to you because he wants something. He was trying to recreate the scene from our last life where I had publicly exposed him as a simp. It was a pathetic imitation. Everyone in the kitchen just stared at him like he was an idiot. One of the other workers finally spoke up. Leo, what are you talking about? The kid just came in to help out. How does that make him a player? Brenda's expression hardened. Leo, talking behind people's backs is not a good look. Leo grew more desperate. I'm not lying. He's actively trying to get with the campus queen, Isabel Croft, and now he's here trying to sweet-talk you. What is that if not being a player? He thought this would make Brenda hate me. But he didn't know that the one thing Brenda Sutton admired most was ambition, especially in people who had the skills to back it up. Sure enough, Brenda just gave me a measured look and asked, Ethan, are you pursuing Isabel Croft? I met her gaze and nodded honestly. I am. Pursuing, yes. Simping, no. That was my rule this time around. Instead of getting angry, Brenda actually smiled, a curious and calculating glint in her eye. It's good for a young man to have goals. Leo was completely stunned. The script was not going according to his plan at all. I was completely drained by the time I left the dining hall. Back in the dorm, Chris was yelling at his computer screen while playing a game. Ethan, you missed everything. At the welcome concert, some rich idiot made a huge play for Isabel Croft and got publicly shot down. It was epic. I just smiled, saying nothing. It seemed that even without Leo, there was always another admirer ready to take his place. Isabel's pond was never short on fish. I checked my phone. Her contact was blinking in my message list. She'd sent me over a dozen texts. Ethan, what are you so busy with? Why aren't you answering me? Are you mad at me? I saved your ticket for you the whole time. The last one, sent after the concert, was dripping with resentment. Ethan Reed, what is your problem? I could picture the displeasure on her cool, pretty face. She was so used to being the center of everyone's universe that anyone who ignored her was seen as a personal slight. I was about to toss my phone aside when an unknown number called. I answered it casually. A cool, haughty female voice came through the line. Ethan Reed, I'm downstairs. It was Isabel. I walked out to the balcony. Sure enough, a slender figure was standing under a lamppost. White dress, long hair. It was her. She seemed to know I'd be looking, because she tilted her head up. The lamplight softened the lines of her face, making her look like a flawless porcelain doll. Come down, she commanded. Is something wrong? It's late. I was about to go to bed. I said, my tone flat. She seemed taken aback by my attitude. Her voice turned colder. I invited you. Why didn't you come? Because I had to wash dishes at the dining hall, I said, telling the truth. A sharp, disbelieving laugh came through the phone. Ethan, do you really think that's a funny excuse? You think playing hard to get is going to make me notice you? I leaned against the railing, looking down at her. Isabel, I think you've misunderstood something. I just didn't want to go. You. Isabel had probably never been rejected so bluntly in her life. She was speechless with rage. Just then, the system in my head started screaming again. Warning, target's affinity-10. Current affinity, -15. Host actions are in severe deviation from the main quest. Initiating mandatory mission. Mandatory mission. Go downstairs immediately, apologize to Isabel Croft, and give her a gift worth no less than $5,000 to repair affinity. Penalty for failure. Host bank accounts will be wiped clean. The system's electronic screeching was deafening. Why my accounts? I had the system's $10,000, plus another $50,000 my parents had given me for living expenses. This was exactly how the system had trapped Leo last time. Whenever he tried to resist, it would hit him with penalties, wiping his accounts, docking charm points, even causing public humiliation. He sank deeper and deeper until he couldn't escape. I looked down at the self-important figure under the lamp, and my expression hardened. They wanted to force my hand. I put the phone on speaker, dropped it on my desk, and then blasted the most obnoxious rock music I could find at full volume. The dorm room instantly turned into a mosh pit. Chris leaped out of his chair. Holy, Ethan, are you insane? I ignored him and walked into the bathroom. The system's warnings and Isabel's angry shouting were completely drowned out by the thundering music. When I came out from my shower, the world was finally quiet. My phone had died. Chris was staring at me, still in shock. Bro, what was that all about? I dried my hair, my voice calm. Nothing. Just taking out the trash. The next morning, the moment I turned my phone on, it was flooded with notifications and missed calls from both Isabel and the system. Warning. Mandatory mission failed. Penalty initiated. All funds in the host's registered bank accounts have been zeroed out. I opened my banking app. The balance was, indeed, $0. Calmly, I popped out my SIM card, snapped it in half, and dropped it in the trash. Then I walked down to the carrier store and got a new number. All my bank accounts and payment apps were tied to my phone number. The system could wipe the accounts associated with my old number, but could it touch the ones on my new one? Sure enough, after I installed the new SIM and logged back into my banking app, the $60,000 was right back where it should be. The system, for all its power, was still just a program with set protocols and permissions. It was bonded to my soul and could monitor my status, but its authority was apparently limited to the identity I had registered with it, namely, my original phone number. I'd found a loophole, but I knew it was only a temporary fix. The system would eventually detect the change and patch itself. I had to find a way to get rid of it for good, or better yet, make it work for me before it caught on. When I went to the dining hall for breakfast, I ran into Leo again. He had massive dark circles under his eyes and was vigorously mopping the floor. When he saw me, he immediately dropped the mop and swaggered over, bursting with news. Ethan, you're not going to believe it. Brenda agreed to adopt me as her godson. I raised an eyebrow, genuinely surprised. Brenda Sutton was far too shrewd for a move like that. What was going on? Is that so? Congratulations, I said, calmly getting myself a bowl of oatmeal. My lack of a reaction seemed to annoy him. He lowered his voice, speaking as if he were revealing a cosmic secret. You'd better believe it. I thought about it all night. Gifts weren't working, so I had to get personal. I gave her son some of my dad's rare, out-of-print vinyl records. He loved them. Brenda was so happy, she practically adopted me on the spot. He puffed out his chest. I'm telling you, the key to this whole system isn't Brenda. It's her mysterious son. He was glowing with pride, already picturing himself inheriting a billion-dollar empire. I paused with my spoon halfway to my mouth. Brenda Sutton's son, Alex Sutton. Last time, he was the one who represented Polaris Hospitality at the press conference after my fatal car crash. He was cold, professional, and all business. His reputation in the corporate world was that of a ruthless shark. Leo had managed to figure out his tastes. A sliver of caution entered my mind. With Leo also being reborn, the timeline was already changing in subtle ways. I couldn't rely solely on my memories from the last life. You've met her son? I asked. Well, no, Leo admitted with a shrug. I gave the records to Brenda to pass along, but she said her son really liked them, and she said that when he has time, she'll bring him by to meet his new little brother. I nodded slowly, saying nothing more. Something about this felt very wrong. I didn't have classes that morning, so I went to the library. I had just found a quiet desk when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Isabel. Her tone had softened considerably, now tinged with a hint of vulnerability. Ethan, why were you like that yesterday? Do you have any idea how long I waited for you? It was accompanied by a selfie. In the photo, her eyes were slightly red, a picture of delicate sorrow. Any guy would have his heartstrings tugged. Before I could reply, the system chimed in. Host phone number change detected. System permissions updating. Update complete. Mandatory mission failure penalty reinitiating. Host. The voice cut off abruptly, replaced by a new notification. Conquest target Isabel Croft is displaying vulnerability. Affinity +5. Current affinity -10. New main quest issued. A gentle consolation. Go to reading room 1 in the library. Find Isabel Croft and offer her comfort. Reward. Hybrid skill photographic memory. 24-hour trial. Photographic memory. Now, that was an interesting reward. I looked up, my eyes scanning the reading room. It didn't take long to spot Isabel in a corner. She was wearing a pale blue dress and looking down at a book, the sunlight from the window creating a halo effect around her. She looked like a painting of serene beauty. If I didn't know what she was really like, I might have fallen for the act myself. She must have sensed my gaze because she looked up and our eyes met. She seemed startled at first. Then her eyes immediately reddened again, as if she were suffering the world's greatest injustice. I sighed and stood up, walking toward her. Since the system was offering me a way forward, I might as well play along and see what new game she and this system were trying to play. "Isabel," I said, taking the seat opposite her. She didn't speak, just kept her head down, her fingers tracing idle patterns on the page. Her shoulders trembled slightly, as if she were crying. She was a hell of an actress. I pulled 2 tissues from the dispenser on the table and offered them to her. "I'm sorry about yesterday. That was on me," I said, my voice sincere, even though I had no idea what I was supposed to be sorry for. Isabel looked up, her eyes glistening. "Why did you treat me like that?" "I just wanted to be friends. I was in a really bad mood yesterday. I improvised. Some family stuff came up. I was a bit harsh. Don't take it personally." It was the perfect all-purpose excuse. Just as I expected, the tension in her face relaxed. She took the tissues and dabbed at the corners of her eyes, where there were no tears to be found. "Oh, I see. I must have misunderstood," she said, her voice full of sympathy. "Family is important. I hope everything is okay." I nodded. The system pinged. "Quest complete. Reward photographic memory, trial version, has been distributed." Instantly, my mind felt incredibly sharp and clear, like a supercomputer coming online. I picked up the thick Principles of Finance textbook in front of her and flipped through it rapidly. Every word, every chart, every formula was seared into my brain. The feeling was incredible. Isabel saw me looking at her book and, assuming I was interested, offered, "You're into finance too? This book can be a little dense. If you have any questions, you can ask me." Finance was her minor. "It's all right," I said, closing the book. I then casually asked her a highly specific question about the transmission mechanisms of monetary policy. It was a detail that even a graduate student in the department might struggle with. The smile on Isabel's face froze. She stammered for a few moments, unable to come up with an answer. "Well, that's a pretty complex topic. It's not something you can explain in just a sentence or two," she said awkwardly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. I smiled, letting her off the hook. Maintaining that perfect campus queen persona, it seemed, was harder than it looked. The next few days were quiet. Leo became a permanent fixture in the dining hall. He spent his days mopping floors and wiping tables, constantly checking in on Brenda, playing the part of the perfect filial godson. Meanwhile, I used the various small tasks the system gave me to my advantage. When it told me to go see a movie with Isabel, the reward was expert-level combat skills. When it told me to save her a seat in a lecture, the reward was advanced programming skills. Although they were all trial versions, they gave me enough time to absorb and learn the fundamentals. I discovered that as long as I didn't actively provoke Isabel and maintained a lukewarm, distant relationship, the campus queen system became much more docile. It stopped issuing those ridiculous, expensive mandatory missions. It felt more like a daily check-in app. I completed a task, and it gave me a reward. As for Isabel's affinity score, it hovered between -10 and 0, never moving much in either direction. She seemed to have grown accustomed to my hot and cold attitude, her initial aggression replaced by a growing curiosity and a desire to conquer me. One afternoon, I was just leaving the library when Leo called, his voice frantic. "Ethan, get over here, quick! Something's happened to Brenda." When I reached the dining hall kitchen, a crowd had already formed. Brenda was lying on the floor, her face pale and her breathing labored. Leo was standing beside her, wringing his hands and sweating profusely. I just gave her some soup I made, and she took one sip and this happened. I pushed through the crowd and knelt to check on her. Her lips were turning blue, a classic sign of anaphylactic shock. "What is she allergic to?" I demanded, my voice sharp. I don't know. I just saw how hard she was working, so I used the fancy seafood my mom sent me to make a gourmet lobster bisque to help her feel better." My mind went into overdrive. Fragments of memory from my past life surfaced. A news report had mentioned that the Polaris Hospitality CEO, Brenda Sutton, had a severe allergy to seafood, especially shellfish. Leo, in his infinite wisdom, had just tried to kill his treasure of a godmother with a bowl of soup. "Call 911, I yelled, simultaneously unbuttoning the top of Brenda's uniform to keep her airway clear. "I already did. They're on their way," one of the other workers said anxiously. "It wouldn't be fast enough. For anaphylactic shock, The golden window for treatment is just a few minutes. Where's her medicine? An EpiPen. I asked. Everyone shook their heads. Brenda had been so low-key about her job here that no one knew about her medical history. Leo completely fell apart, collapsing onto the floor, his face ashen. He had been reborn with what he thought was the winning script, only to kill off the main character in the first act. I took a deep breath, my mind racing through the emergency first aid I'd seen on TV shows in my last life. The photographic memory skill was long gone, but I still remembered the basics. I elevated her legs to improve blood flow to her vital organs and applied pressure to several key points on her body. The seconds ticked by. Brenda's breathing grew fainter. Just as I was starting to lose hope, a figure burst into the kitchen. Mom! The man was wearing a perfectly tailored suit, with a handsome face that was now a mask of terror and panic. He expertly retrieved a medical kit from his briefcase, pulled out a syringe, and plunged it straight into Brenda's thigh. Epinephrine. It was Alex Sutton. What was he doing here? After administering the shot, he looked up, his icy gaze landing on Leo. Did you do this? His look was sharp enough to cut glass. Leo was trembling so hard he couldn't form a single word. Alex didn't spare him another glance. He scooped Brenda into his arms and sprinted for the exit just as the wail of an ambulance siren grew louder. A storm was coming. After Brenda was taken away, a dead silence fell over the kitchen. Leo sat on the floor, completely broken, muttering, "It's over. It's all over." His entire meticulously planned future had been shattered by a single bowl of bisque. I felt no sympathy for him, only a sense of dark irony. If he had shown even a shred of genuine care for Brenda, enough to learn a single basic fact about her, he wouldn't have made such a fatal mistake. But his eyes were only filled with greed, with system quests, with the phantom billions he thought were his for the taking. He wasn't trying to win over a person. He was trying to crack open a loot box. Unfortunately for him, this one was a bomb. The police arrived soon after and took Leo in for questioning. Since there were no lasting severe consequences and Brenda's side wasn't pressing charges, he would likely get off. But his reputation at Crestwood was ruined. He was socially dead. I, on the other hand, had become a minor hero for administering basic first aid at a critical moment. Someone had even filmed it and posted it online. Before long, the hashtag Crestwood U Student Saves Life was trending locally. Isabel also sent me a message. "Ethan, you were amazing. I'm so proud of you." It was followed by a heart emoji. I could feel that, for the first time, she might actually be developing some genuine feelings for me. The system's notification chimed in right on cue. Host handled an emergency situation with exemplary calm and skill. Conquest target Isabel Croft affinity +20, current affinity 10. Host reputation has increased. New feature unlocked frowny face reputation shop. I opened the shop. It was filled with all sorts of items, from permanent skills to black box tech gadgets. The currency was reputation points. Saving Brenda had earned me 1,000 starting points. A permanent version of expert-level combat skills cost 10,000 points. It was clear now. The system wanted to mold me into a viral, perfect man, someone who constantly created buzzworthy events to farm reputation and cash in on rewards. And Isabel was meant to be the catalyst and the audience for this entire performance. A truly clever, twisted design. The next day, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Alex Sutton. His voice sounded tired, but was still impeccably polite. "Ethan, hello. This is Alex Sutton. My mother is out of danger. I wanted to thank you for your help yesterday." "It was nothing. I'm glad she's okay. To show my gratitude, I'd like to treat you to dinner. Would you be available?" I thought for a moment, then agreed. I was also curious to know what this infamous corporate shark really wanted. We met at a highly exclusive private club. Alex had changed out of his suit into casual clothes, which softened his shark corporate edge and made him look more like the wealthy heir he was. He poured me tea himself, his posture humble. "Ethan, if it weren't for you yesterday, I can't imagine what would have happened." "Happy to help," I said, meeting his eyes. "But I have to ask, what are you going to do about Leo?" Alex's hand paused. A cold sneer touched his lips. "A clown like him isn't worth my time." He set down his teacup, his gaze intensifying. "What I'm more curious about is you, Ethan. You seem to know everything. About my mother, about Leo. My heart skipped a beat. He suspected me. My calm demeanor and clear understanding of the situation yesterday had been too perfect, arousing suspicion. I just happen to know a few things, I said vaguely. Happen to. Alex smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. You happen to know my mother is allergic to shellfish. You happen to know Leo was trying to get close to her. And you happen to be at the right place at the right time. Each question was a scalpel, precisely dissecting my story. I remained silent. Against a mind like his, any lie would be paper thin. Seeing that I wasn't talking, Alex changed his approach. I did some research on you. Ethan Reed, freshman at Crestwood, excellent grades. Grew up with Leo Vance, but it seems your relationship has soured. He paused, then dropped the bombshell. And you're in the process of conquering Isabel Croft, aren't you? My eyes widened. He even knew about my mission with Isabel. Could a wild thought cross my mind? The system. I ventured. A genuine smile finally graced Alex Sutton's face. So you're not as clueless as you look. He confirmed it without hesitation. That's right. I have a system, too. Only mine is a little different. He held out his hand, and a virtual interface materialized above his palm. On it were the words, the counter-conquest system. My mission, he explained, is to help the targets who are being pursued by conquerors like you to break free and expose the truth. I was floored. Something like that existed. So, Isabel. She's one of your targets. No. Alex shook his head. Isabel Croft is far beneath my notice. He looked at me, his expression turning complex. My target was you. What do you mean? I frowned. Exactly what it sounds like. My system identified you as an agent using illicit means to conquer the designated fiancée of the Polaris Hospitality heir, Isabel Croft. Polaris Hospitality. Fiancée. My brain struggled to keep up. Wait, you and Isabel have no relationship whatsoever. Alex cut me off coldly. I've never even met the woman. However, my foolish younger brother fell for her and is determined to marry her. My mother, against her better judgment, has agreed to it and was planning to arrange their engagement after graduation. The foolish younger brother he was talking about must be the public persona he'd created, Brenda Sutton's son. It all made sense now. Why Leo's gift of vinyl records had worked. Why Alex had shown up at the dining hall. Leo hadn't been trying to win over the real Alex Sutton, the ruthless CEO. He'd been playing to the fake identity Alex had created, a rebellious, rock music-loving rich kid. And the real Alex couldn't care less about a woman like Isabel. So your system sent you to deal with me? I asked. Correct. Alex confirmed. My original plan was to let you and Leo destroy each other. But then you saved my mother. He sighed. Now, I owe you a debt I can't easily repay. My system has also judged you as fundamentally good, temporarily suspending its hostile stance against you. He looked at me, his voice sincere. Ethan, I don't know what kind of mess you're in, but I think we can help each other. 18. My meeting with Alex clarified a lot of things. The world, it seemed, was one big, chaotic stage. Everyone was wearing a mask, playing a part. There were players like me and Leo, given systems to try and find a shortcut through life. And then there were game masters like Alex, equipped with counter systems to maintain order. People like Isabel and Brenda were the NPCs caught in the middle. Except some NPCs were cannon fodder, and others were final bosses. The deal Alex proposed was simple. He would help me get rid of the campus queen system for good. In return, I had to help him take care of two problems, Leo and Isabel. I had no reason to refuse. As for Leo, Alex didn't even need to lift a finger. After returning to campus, Leo discovered that his mission to win over Brenda had failed, and the system had punished him by causing his family's company stock to plummet by 20%. He couldn't handle the failure. He had a complete meltdown in his dorm, screaming that Alex and I had conspired against him. In the end, the university forced him to take a medical leave of absence for mental instability. I was downstairs when his parents came to pick him up. He saw me and charged like a mad bull, his father barely managing to hold him back. Ethan Reed, you just wait. I'll get you for this. You stole everything from me. I just stared at him coldly. Leo, you never understood. I didn't steal anything from you. Your own greed and stupidity destroyed you twice. 19. With Leo gone, only Isabel remained. Alex's advice was to just ice her out. If I stopped interacting with her, the system would be starved of the energy it generated from our encounters and would eventually have to unbind from me. But I didn't want to let her off that easily. Last time, she played Leo for a fool, bled him dry, and then kicked him to the curb without a second thought. This time, she was trying to do it all over again. She deserved to know what it felt like to fall from grace. I started to accidentally drop hints to her about the heir to Polaris hospitality. Things like his supposed love for obscure opera, his favorite art gallery, and his deep-seated hatred for materialistic, pretentious women. All of this information came directly from Alex. Isabel, predictably, took the bait. She started showing up at opera houses and art galleries, trying to manufacture fateful encounters. She traded her simple white dresses for elegant, intellectual-looking pantsuits. Her Instagram feed transformed from selfies and brunch photos to profound discussions on art and philosophy. She thought she was being clever. She had no idea that her every move was being monitored by Alex. Meanwhile, the system in my head grew weaker and weaker due to my prolonged inactivity. The missions it issued were downgraded from buy her a designer handbag to have a cup of coffee with her. The rewards dwindled from powerful skills to $100 here and there. It was making its last stand. 20. The turning point came at Crestwood University's anniversary gala. As a special guest of honor, a representative from the Polaris Hospitality Group was scheduled to attend. Everyone knew this meant the mysterious heir himself would be there. Isabel had been preparing for this night for weeks. She pulled every string she had to secure a spot on stage to perform a piano solo. The piece she chose was, of course, an arrangement of the obscure opera Alex supposedly loved. On the night of the gala, Isabel was a vision in a custom-made, starlight blue evening gown. Seated at the grand piano, under the spotlight, she was the undisputed center of attention. When she finished, the applause was deafening. The MC announced breathlessly, "And now, please give a warm welcome to the representative from Polaris Hospitality, Mr. Alex Sutton, who will say a few words." Alex, looking sharp and powerful in a black tuxedo, walked onto the stage. The entire auditorium erupted. Isabel also rose, a triumphant smile on her face. She gathered her dress and glided toward Alex, ready to have her soulmate moment with him. However, Alex walked right past her without a single glance. He took the microphone and scanned the audience, his eyes finally landing on me. A playful smirk touched his lips. "Thank you, everyone, but I'm not here tonight to give a speech. I'm here to publicly thank two people, my mother, Mrs. Brenda Sutton, and the man who saved her life, Mr. Ethan Reed." The hall fell into a stunned silence, followed by a wave of confused murmuring. Brenda Sutton? The dining hall lady? Ethan Reed? That ordinary freshman? The spotlight operator, catching on, swung the beam away from Isabel, illuminating Brenda and me in the front row. The smile on Isabel's face completely froze. She stood stranded in the middle of the stage like a discarded statue, the target of 1,000 looks of pity and ridicule from the entire student body. In that moment, she finally understood. She had been nothing but a joke from the very beginning. Her meticulous scheming, her desperate attempts to climb the social ladder, all of it was rendered pathetic and laughable in the face of the dining hall lady and the poor student she had looked down on. In my mind, the system's voice, now faint and weak, echoed one last time. Conquest target Isabel Croft has suffered a complete mental breakdown. Affinity has been reset to 0. System energy depleted. Unbinding process initiated. Unbinding successful. A faint golden light flew out from between my eyebrows, flickered twice in the air, and then vanished forever. I looked at the poised, confident Alex on stage, and then at Brenda beside me, who was smiling with genuine pride. I let out a long, slow breath. This time, I had finally taken back my own life. Not with a system, but with my own 2 hands.